Hello everyone. Out here this morning. It's January 12th and it is, I don't know how well you can see out the doors, 52 degrees and it has been pouring rain. Guess this is our January thaw. Last week at this time it was 25 degrees below zero. Weird. We've been taking apart our Hydro Trac. Excuse me. Our parts pile's growing. Nothing really bad that I've found so far. I really don't think this tractor overall doesn't look like it's got a lot of hours on it. It's hard to tell. I mean, you don't know. But everything's coming apart just fine. Got our steering wheel off just fine with no damage. Everything good. What I found with that was I took a clamshell bearing puller press, put it under the wheel, and then I went on the top with a regular gear puller, and I had to work it a little bit, but in the end it just came right off. Didn't hurt anything, so that was pretty easy. Everything else come out with no problem. Didn't see anything bad. 71 Sears said he was interested in these front tires, and like I said in the comments, you're more than welcome to them if you want them, just whatever shipping is, and I'll send them to you. But just keep in mind that they are pretty much cracked up here. So, but if they're better than what you got, okay. We haven't taken the transaxle out yet. What I was talking about here, if you look, see how easy I can pull that right off? And that looked like it was a sealed bearing that the seal is popped off of. But in looking at the parts breakdown, the actual seal for this is farther up in here. So I think when we get to this point of the transaxle itself, I think it's going to be worth our time to get some bearings and get some seals while we got it apart and do everything right, you know. The other thing that I'm definitely going to do is I'm going to replace all the hardware, all the nuts and bolts with new. In the non-critical area, I probably will use stainless steel fasteners, but any of the high strength, you know, areas like that, I will put grade 8 with a coating on, and that will keep them looking sharp, hopefully, for a long time. But no surprises at all. The engine assembly off this tractor, to be honest with you, weighs more than most modern tractors do today. It's really something, the difference in construction of something over time. I mean, in the last 50 years, they've changed an awful lot. So, not a huge bunch to report. Another few, 3 hours, we'll have the rest of it apart. I do have a piece, the upper bracket for the starter generator that I took off, and on where it was on the inside, I've got a real good, I think non-faded spot of original color on a small piece that I can take with me. I've got some choices, of course, for paint. I can take that piece and I could actually have it matched in like an automotive type paint, or I can take that piece and I can, you know, get it to an orange that's fairly close, which is what I'm going to do. I'm not going to get too carried away. I think we're going to try it at first and see how it goes. If it comes out good, all right. If not, then we'll switch. I think I'm going to rattle can this tractor. I think I'm with everything in here that, you know, would have to clean and be covered, and whenever you spray, you get, you know, overspray and stuff like that. And by doing just, if I can do it with rattle cans, then I think that I can do, you know, a piece at a time. I don't have to have, you know, if I'm going to be mixing up a batch of paint to spray, you know, thinning it down and everything like that, you'd want to have some parts all ready to go. And I can just kind of get a part ready, and I can hit it, hang it, and move on if I just use the rattle can. So I'm going to try it. Hopefully it works out. Definitely on the small parts anyways. So I'm going to try to find a color by somebody who I can go and I can either get it in spray cans, or I can get the same color in, you know, like a gallon of an industrial paint or something like that. Shouldn't be too hard to do. Like I say, I guess there's a Krylon that people use that's pretty close. I'm not a big fan of Krylon paints. I'd rather use like a Rust-Oleum or, you know, a tractor paint, industrial paint of some sort. But this orange, to me, basically it looks like it's just a safety orange. But we'll find out and get what we need. And of course, it's the kind of thing where if it's not exactly the same, but you know, as long as it's close, and I think for me that's good enough. And we'll just get a bright white for, you know, our few white parts, and that shouldn't be too bad. Overall, the tractor's fairly tight. This pivot joint here is kind of loose. It's been spread, so I'm either going to do some bushings in there, or, you know, tighten it up somehow. Out here is not too bad. Probably put new bushings in the wheels. The steering is relatively tight, so probably can just reuse all that original stuff there. So that's how this is going along. The shop has changed a little bit, as you notice. I got our SS12 over there in the corner. These two John Deeres here are from my other fleet. I have, actually, I think all told, there's 14 or 15 tractors that we have. I have 3 of these John Deere tractors here that I use around the property. This one here is an LT 133 that I bought, and I think I gave $150 for this one. And the guy was having a horrible time with it wouldn't mow right, and so he got frustrated with it and went and bought a different tractor, and, you know, John Deere was no good and all this stuff, so he just wanted to get rid of it. The hood was broke. I got another part for the hood and fixed that. I think it runs great, drives great, works fine. I do have a couple of tires that tend to get soft, a little soft here and there, so I gotta look at that. And it's in here because I have an outbuilding, another garage that I store all this stuff in, and with the warm weather I fired up everything yesterday and just got it out and let it run for a while. And this one here, the battery was pretty low on. Everything else started just fine, but this one here, the battery was pretty low on, so brought it in for a charge. But the thing is, like I said, the guy wasn't happy with it. It has a 42-inch mulching deck on it, and they have there's a timing belt in those mulching decks that times this twin blade, and it times the blades, and so they're working with that. Well, that belt was broken, so essentially the second blade runs off the first blade. So he only had one of 2 blades that were spinning, and he couldn't understand why he was getting a crooked cut. His lawn was uneven. So the guy that I got this from, his name was Wally, so we call this tractor Wally in his honor. The stupid guy that, you know, got us a good tractor. So we have this one that we use, and what we use for this one is I tow around my little trailer behind it, cleaning up yard debris, stuff like that. I do have a 38-inch mower deck that goes on this that I can use for trim mowing if I want to. But usually he's just like this, and like I say, he pulls our little trailer around and stuff. This one here is a manual transmission. This is the only manual gear John Deere that I currently have. But it's 13 horsepower. It's not super powerful, but it does everything that I need to do, and it's just kind of a neat little tractor, and I like it. So that one there, it will stay. Now this, the other one, I have a 23 horsepower, an L130. That's my main mowing tractor. I have a 3-blade 48-inch deck for that, and a bag system on the back of it. And of course now in the wintertime I have a I think it's 46-inch snowblower that goes on the front of it, and that's how I clean snow around the yard. So I have that one, and I also have another LT series, an LT 155, which is a 15 horse. That is another tractor that belonged to my dad, and I have the mulching deck that originally came off this on that, and that's what I've been using for a trim mower. That's a good tractor, runs great, no problems with it. But like I say, it's my dad. It was my dad's tractor as well. So my plan is I'm going to kind of retire that from use, and we're going to take that apart. We're going to give that, you know, a fresh paint job, get it all cleaned up, looking real good, and then it will just live in the collection without having to work for a living anymore. So this one here, this LT150, I actually have 2 of these. And the other one is essentially just a parts tractor. It's missing a whole bunch of stuff. This one here I got for $125. Once again, didn't run right. The people were frustrated with it. Every time I see one of these that's got some kind of a mechanical problem that people don't want a lot of money for it, I just go and buy them. And I mean, the hood, see, this has got a good hood on it. It's not broken or anything, and people will give you, you know, more than what I paid for the tractor just for the hood if, you know, need be. You can buy Chinese hood tops on eBay for like 80 bucks, but for the original ones, they'll actually give you a few bucks. So I got like $125 in this tractor. It starts, runs, we picked this up last summer. Starts, it runs, it's a hydrostat, all the gears, you know, it works, forward, back, mower deck, cuts grass, everything's fine, but it's got all the symptoms of having a blown head gasket. It'll run great when it's cold, and the hotter it gets, the worse it runs, and it's putting a bunch of pressure into the crankcase. So I'm kind of thinking that's what we got here is a head gasket issue. So we're going to pull this apart, and we're going to put a head set in it, and you know, we'll service it and get it going, see if she's okay. And if this one's good, then I will use this in place of my dad's tractor actually on the lawn out there. So, but you know, it's got a good seat. The paint's a little faded, but who cares, you know, it's got a good seat on it. The tires, for whatever reason, are really cracked and dry rotted. That one there goes flat pretty quickly, and one of the front ones does, but the others, I mean, they're not in much better shape. So we have some, you know, more modern stuff in here too. But like I said, I use these tractors all summer long. I really like them. They do good around here. They're good on fuel. They don't, and they're, especially these LT series, they're a little bit smaller, and I have a bunch of trees that I go around underneath and stuff like that. It's a little easier to get them in there. So they work well. I like them. So we'll see if we can get this one going. And if it's a problem child or whatever, we'll do whatever we need to do. So that's kind of what we got going on. I think I'm about done for the day. I've been out this morning. It was pouring rain here this morning. I went out and I filled up my fuel cans and went to the grocery store, and I just soaked and wet and cold, miserable. So I think I'm just going to go inside today. So maybe tomorrow we'll be back out and we'll take the rest of this apart, and we'll start, you know, working on some of our parts and pieces. But it's coming along, and like I said before, there's no problems yet, going just fine. So I think that'd be good. I know I've showed it before at my table here when I made it. This thing here is so handy for working on these things for me because I don't have to bend over. I can just stand there and work on them. But it was fairly inexpensive. I just got all the stuff at the Home Depot and put it together. It is on wheels. I put it on big casters. It does roll around. And the one thing that I do is, you'll notice, and I've showed this before, but just guys that didn't see it, this little bracket right here that pins onto it, I've got a 1,000-pound 12-volt winch that goes on there. It just clips into it, runs off a battery. And then I put my ramps up there, and I winch these tractors up and off of it to get them up there. So it works great. And when we don't have tractors on it, it's a nice portable workbench too. So that's what we use that for. So there you go. That's all the news that's fit to print here. I can't think of anything else earth-shattering. I think I'm going to go... I took a picture of the engine tag on that. I think I'm going to go start researching out some parts for that and get those coming. And then we'll get the rest of this taken apart and start cleaning this up. So there you have it. All the good stuff. So thanks for checking us out. And as always, if you're interested in what we do here, just like, comment, and subscribe. And I really appreciate all the support I've gotten on this project. And we'll do some more videos on it. So until the next time, everybody out there, take it easy.